Is everybody having a good Memorial Day weekend? Hope it's off to a good start. We got a game 7 coming up tomorrow in basketball. I know there's a lot of good hockey on as well, but if you need to take a break away from sports, then I understand. Although, even though I understand, I don't know why you're here on this stream because we're about to talk some 49ers football. We're about to talk some Trey Lance and then got a little bonus clip of the 49ers staying in the news, tied in with the San Francisco Giants and Jock Peterson. And I'm going to play that a little bit later in the video. So anyway, everybody go get your grilling stuff for this weekend. Go get some beer for this weekend. Make sure that you enjoy the good weather outside. Make sure that you take advantage of that Monday off of work here on Memorial Day coming up. Thanks for joining. This is going to be an honest evaluation of Trey Lance's first week at 2022 OTAs. So with that in mind, why don't we put up the video that I took this week at practice. There's Trey doing the band stretch to warm up. Here's the Tom House towel drill that a lot of people were laughing at. I had a joke on Twitter, full of jokes this week. Trey Lance already thrown in the towel. I can't believe it. Such bad news for the 49ers at quarterback. Trey Lance already given up. Just kidding. /S. Sarcasm. That's what that means on Twitter. And now we had our first look at Trey Lance throwing the football on the 49ers practice field in quite some time. That was the first throw. That might have been it. I think I got that one on video. So he was out there working in the sunshine. He got some footwork drills in, and Brian Griese, who's the 49ers new quarterbacks coach, actually got to catch some passes from him. And I was joking around with Brian Griese. I said, the 49ers former quarterbacks coach Rich Scangarello wasn't catching any passes from Trey Lance, but Brian Griese's ex-ball player and still trying to be a ball player. He enjoys the athleticism. He enjoys being out there and going through some of the work with his players. It was about 12, 13 years ago that he's playing. There he is, Brian Griese catching the pass from Trey Lance. So that's the quick look, honest evaluation of Trey Lance's first week at 2022 49ers OTAs. Here's my first point. Beware of anyone trying to make proclamations in either direction. And for that, I mean, beware of the people that are saying that the 49ers are fed up with Trey Lance and that, they're worried that he's not going to be any good. I've covered this so many times because so much of that crap has been pumped out on the internet over the past few months when Trey Lance literally didn't practice for the 49ers in between January and this past Tuesday or this past Mondays when 49ers OTA started. So there was no way for anybody to know that Trey Lance was disappointing the 49ers. That was fake news, right? That was just something that people were pumping out there to get clicks because Trey Lance's name generates clicks. Well, we have to be balanced, though. So in the same vein, beware of anyone trying to make a proclamation that Trey Lance is blowing the 49ers away. Because I saw this on the internet over the past couple of days, and it's a product of the same dynamic. Because Trey Lance's name generates clicks, because everybody wants to, talk about the 49ers young quarterback, who's probably going to be their starting quarterback in 2022, people are just going to pump stuff out there without any real knowledge of the situation. And the 49ers, if you actually talk to their coaches, if you actually talk to people surrounding the situation, are realistic about this. And it just takes common sense to put 2 and 2 together. The 49ers haven't done a single rep of full speed 11 on 11 work. In the 3 practices this week, the 49ers did a ton of 7-on-7 stuff. And then when it went to 11 on 11, when they actually brought the offensive line in to be part of the mix, everybody took off their helmets. It was helmetless football. They're not going at full speed when they don't have helmets on. And they're simply, I can't say they're walking through things, but that's what you call it in football, walk through speed. They're simply going through the motions. It's obviously going to heavily favor the offense. And I would say if Trey Lance didn't look good in 7-on-7 work, then the 49ers would have a major problem. So yes, he's completing passes in 7-on-7 work, which heavily favors the offense. But the overarching point is that you can't go out and say, oh my God, he looks great. And you can't go out and say, oh my God, he looks terrible. You just have to take it for what it is. I get that everybody wants to have a knee-jerk reaction and they want to have the tweet out there or the YouTube video out there that gets the most views or the most clicks. So they want to go out there and say something extreme like Trey Lance is going to be the next Joe Montana. Trey Lance looks like Mahomes. Or on the contrary, as we had seen over the past several months, Trey Lance is terrible. The 49ers are pulling their hair out. I get that everybody wants to have the greatest shock value with their tweets, but sometimes the truth is what the truth is. And that is we are early in OTAs. The The 49ers haven't run a single rep of 11-on-11 work. This is light work that they're doing. These are practices designed to get the guys into semblance of football shape here so they can knock some of the rust off. And if Trey Lance didn't look good in 7-on-7, it'd be a major problem. I'm sorry. Sometimes we don't really have needle moving stuff going on. Sometimes this is just a casual early OTA practice, which is what we saw this past week. Now, with that being said, here are the observations that we can fairly make. Trey Lance's release does look a little bit quicker. Now, I could put the video back on right now. Let's take a quick look at it. There wasn't too much of Trey Lance throwing. The cameras have to be off by that point. This is the towel drill from Tom House, the quarterback's guru, but I could fast forward a little bit more. Now, this is Lance just, in the warm-up stretch right here, and you could tell I do think his release looks a little bit snappier, even though he's not even really going for a quick release right there. You don't have the super elongated release that, he had to knock off. He had to cut out last year. Then you saw a little bit more of it in the footwork drills and some of these throws. So I think it is fair to say that Trey Lance's release does look objectively quicker. But there is a lot of speculation out there that Lance changed his throwing motion, and I think that's categorically false. I think he tightened up his throwing motion as you would expect him to, but him trying to go to some kind of 3/4 release or whatever people are trying to say, people are trying to create a story here. And here's the first person that trying to create a story is unfair to: Trey Lance. If you're trying to say, oh my God, he did this crazy work in the offseason to change his release, just because you want it to be true, just because you want to write something about changing his, Trey Lance making a drastic change, you put this undue pressure on the quarterback, right? Oh, like now that everybody's saying he changed his release, how's this gonna, affect all other parts of his game? I mean, we saw it last year, and I get it. Part of it comes from the fact that the 49ers traded up so much to draft Trey Lance. So some of the over scrutinizing and some of the excessive pressure that Trey Lance is getting is coming just from the due fact that the 49ers spent so much to get him. And yes, the 49ers are also in a position where anything relating to any of their quarterbacks is going to be over scrutinized, because this is the franchise of Joe Montana and Steve Young and all that drama in the 80s and the early 90s. But let's just pump the brakes here, because Trey Lance himself was like, no, I didn't change anything about my release. I think even Kyle Shanahan was like, what are you talking about? Like there's nothing different about Trey Lance's, throwing motion. His release is quicker. So I guess, technically his release is a little bit different. And that's obviously something that's being coached into him. He wants to have a quicker release. He doesn't want to loop way back there. But as far as a throwing motion, if he's dropping down to the sidearm or something, none of that, that's all noise. None of that's changed. In fact, Trey said that the first part of the offseason was really to just get back from the finger injury, which compromised essentially his entire 2021 campaign. He's 100% back from the finger injury now. And that if he's going to make any tweaks to the throwing motion, Trey Lance is going to see those, and he's going to undergo those in between 49ers OTAs and training camp, where players go away. They're going to have late June and almost all of July to work with their individual throwing gurus and do all that kind of stuff. So that's not going to happen until a little bit later. So the speculation that his throwing motion is way different, that, something has changed outside of tightening up the mechanics, tightening up the release, that's categorically false. And if there is going to be a major tweak in that regard, it's not going to happen until this summer, because Lance has been coming back from that finger injury. The truth here in this situation is that Trey Lance's 2021 trajectory was promising, and now he's trying to continue that. And we can't really read all too much more into the situation than that. But I want to take a big picture view, because OTAs so early on, it's just so foolish to try to zoom in and read too much into it. And we need a big picture view, because there's been so much false information about Trey Lance tossed out there. And the false information being that he's disappointing the 49ers, that he's not ready, whatever that means. Just a bunch of garbage is being tossed out there. So with the big picture view, why don't we look at it this way? I know, if you're just coming in, like and subscribe to the channel. because I have done a 10-part series on every single Trey Lance snap, broken down all 22 film from the 2021 season. And the truth is that Lance's 2021 trajectory was promising, undoubtedly. From snap number one against the Seattle Seahawks, I know he played against the Lions in the touchdown pass to Trent Sherfield, but his first extended action came against the Seahawks, right? And that was in, I believe, week 3. From snap one against the Seahawks in week 3 to, the final snap in the final quarter against the Texans in week 17, Trey Lance made some intriguing progress with the 49ers. And that was despite the fact that he was playing that whole time with the hurt finger, right? That was affecting him. It was crooked all season long. And when you look objectively at the film, at how Trey Lance improved comfort-wise over his 10 quarters playing some extended ball for the 49ers, you just have to acknowledge it's just an objective truth that his 2021 trajectory was promising, and now he's trying to continue that. But saying anything more, saying, oh, he's lighting the world on fire in 7-on-7 OTAs, or saying that he's terrible, which just really isn't possible to say. Saying anything more beyond what's written on your screen right now is just trying to get clicks, is just trying to go too far overboard. So we have to keep this even keeled moving forward, because that's the only approach that's fair to Trey. That's the only approach that's fair to the 49ers. It's the only approach that's fair to the truth. The first week of OTAs is not going to tell us a whole lot besides maybe his release looks a little bit quicker. And his throwing motion hasn't significantly changed. Trey himself said that if those tweaks are going to be made, that is not going to happen until after OTAs, before training camp. I will say that Trey Lance's personality is certainly on more promising display now. This is an article from Matt Barrows that I'm going to share with you in the comments or chat section, so be sure to check it out. The Athletic obviously is where you're going to get your best 49ers news. My colleague Matt Barrows did a good piece, so the link is there in the chat section. The headline is, the 49ers Trey Lance is looser, livelier as he takes center stage at the start of OTAs. I talked about this the other day, but Trey came up there at the podium. He was joking around. He was smiling. He was much more verbose than he was during his limited media availabilities as a rookie in 2021. And that's a big deal, because you're seeing the blossoming of a personality from Trey Lance. In 2021, he knew his place on the football team. There was never a real chance that Trey Lance was going to start for the 49ers over Jimmy Garoppolo. Of course, he was going to start if Garoppolo was hurt, and that did happen 2 times in the 2021 season. But with 318 pass attempts at the FCS level, Trey Lance had come in as a rookie, and he knew that he was going to be the backup. He knew that he was swimming in new information. He knew that he would have to sit back and absorb the new information, and that he couldn't be this, outspoken leader, because that was Jimmy Garoppolo's job. But now we see the obvious transition. Lance is a year older. He just turned 22. Happy birthday to him earlier this month in May. He is probably going to be the starter. He's probably going to be QB1. Garoppolo's not even around, and the 49ers have openly said, Kyle Shanahan openly said, that the 49ers plan to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. And with that increasing responsibility for Trey Lance comes a need to deliver not only on the field, but also as QB1 in off-field situations. So in the press conference room, he needs to be a good face for the 49ers. He needs to be engaging with the media, obviously at charity events or wherever else he is. He's quarterback one. That's just part of the deal in the NFL. So I thought that the press conference was striking to me, because Trey, who had been a little bit reserved, very fast, and, in his answers, he was just, last year, he was just blah, 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 blah. Okay, next question. It was rapid fire. This year, he's back there. He's relaxed. He's sitting back. He's smiling. He's taking his time with the questions. He's talking a whole lot more, and he's, dishing it back a little bit to the media. So people kept on asking about his finger, and he was talking about how it was bent. And at a certain point, after 3 or 4 questions, he's like, guys, I swear the finger's fine. Here it is. Take a look at it. He steps back. He laughs. He shows his finger to the assembled media. It was funny. It was lighthearted. There was leadership that he was putting on display, even in that press conference room, which was different than last season. And this is something that you see with NFL players a lot, is the blossoming over time. As rookies, they're usually wide-eyed, fresh out of college, a little bit nervous, definitely a little bit more quiet in front of the media. And then as time goes on, they develop their sense of style, their sense of swag. And I definitely saw a sense of swag from Trey Lance in front of the media that was promising to me, and that Matt Barrows actually got to write about a few days ago. So be sure to check out that link on The Athletic. That is about all that I have for Trey Lance right now. I'm looking through my notes here, what I wanted to project to you guys. So that's all good. Here's the, this is a little bit of a changing of gears, but the 49ers are really, really good at staying in the news. So you might have heard that this is baseball news now, but don't worry, the 49ers are going to be tied back into this. You might have heard that Tommy Pham of the Cincinnati Reds slapped the San Francisco Giants' Jock Peterson before a game yesterday, and that this slap happened as a result of a dispute over fantasy football. Well, as the times would have it, the 49ers were involved in this dispute over fantasy football. Just listen to Jock Peterson explain why Tommy Pham slapped him.
Player Jeff Wilson, who was out, and he had him on the IR, and I said, you literally have the same thing on your team, on your bench. And then I guess he was in 2 leagues, and in one of them he was on the IR and one of them he wasn't. So maybe that was a...
All right, one more time, listen.
It happened that he had a player, Jeff Wilson, who was out.
Jeff Wilson. 49ers running back
IR,
Jeff
and I said, you
Wilson
literally have the same thing on your team, on your bench.
That Tommy Pham ultimately slapped Jock Peterson. So the 49ers are certainly very, very good at staying in the news. For whatever reason this offseason, Deebo Samuel, I think, started the trend. But most recently, we have a grown Major League Baseball player slapping another grown Major League Baseball player before game over fantasy football. And it's not just over fantasy football. It's over the fact that 49ers running back Jeff Wilson was stashed on Jock Peterson's injured reserve in a way that Tommy Pham did not like. Now we have to bring in further context into this situation. Remember, Jock Peterson is a Bay Area kid. Jock Peterson, Palo Alto High School. So he's probably a 49ers fan. I've talked with him once before at the Old Pro. I believe that he is a 49ers fan. This was a long time ago, Old Pro, downtown Palo Alto. And so Jock Peterson representing the 49ers, make sure he signs Jeff Wilson to his fantasy team. And we do know that Jeff Wilson was in and out of games for the 49ers because of, he's coming off of the torn meniscus that he suffered when he got up out of a chair during the last OTAs. But Jock wanted to make sure that Jeff Wilson was on his team. Tommy Pham got upset that he was trying to stash him a little bit there. But according to what Jock Peterson said, he looked at the rules. I mean, he screenshotted the rules and he sent them to Tommy Pham in the group text and said, hey, this is all well within the rules. I can stash Jeff Wilson if I want to. And then he pointed out that Tommy Pham was doing the same thing. Tommy Pham thought that was disrespectful and he slapped Jeff Wilson. But at the center of this all, he didn't slap Jeff Wilson. He slapped Jock Peterson. But at the center of this all was Jeff Wilson. You can't really make this stuff up. So good times in 49ers land. They seem to, the fingers of the 49ers seem to be going everywhere. You have them in all sorts of stories, including Major League Baseball recently. All right, this was the honest eval of Trey Lance's first week at 2022 49ers OTAs. I think I'm going to wade into the comment section. I'm going to put on my hazmat suit and wade into the comment section to see what's going on over here. And we'll see what you guys are saying. Maybe we can start with the comments about Jock Peterson, or maybe we can go back to Trey Lance. Hey, David, or we can talk about this. What's your go-to beer for the weekend? It's a good question. I have to stop by the store right now. I'm going to head up to Shaver Lake. I haven't stopped by the store yet. So why don't you guys drop in some recommendations as to what my favorite beer for the weekend should be? I do know that I will be grilling both my signature double cheeseburger. I keep it simple. It's just 2 beef patties, American cheese. American cheese, not very high quality, but for some reason, the burger just sings more with American cheese. And I put avocado on it. That's it. It's the double cheeseburger with avocado. It's got to have a good bun. I'm going to be making those. And I'll be grilling the pizza at the 700 degrees. I'll probably be making a prosciutto pizza because that's my specialty. I'll try to put both on YouTube or on Twitter, or at least somewhere. So make sure to follow me there. But it's going to be a good week of grilling and eating with a view. But if you guys want to recommend any beers I should pick up, go ahead and let me know. Sounds like, yeah, my grandma and my mom are home. So probably going to have to take it offline right now. Anyway, type in more questions into the comment section. Maybe I do another Q&A video in a little bit. All right, everybody, take care. Thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed the honest evaluation of Trey Lance's first week at 49ers 2022 OTAs. Everybody take care.